Chapter 20. In the last 2 days, Li Fuchen finally reached the subcompletion stage of the Red Jade Sword style's first move, Touch of Red Jade. At the subcompletion stage, the suction force of the Touch of Red Jade was extremely strong. From half a foot away, it was able to absorb a few kilograms of steel sword. In fact, with Li Fuchen's Qi realm cultivation, he wasn't able to absorb objects through the air. But if he was in direct contact, the suction force would be 10 times stronger. Young master, be careful. In the yard, Li Fuchen's servant, Li Dequan, an 8th-level Qi realm martial artist, brandished his blade at Li Fuchen. The speed of the blade was as fast as lightning and as swift as a storm. If a regular 6th-level Qi realm martial artist was caught off guard, he would have been cleaved to death without any time to react. Li Fuchen let out an indifferent smile, unsheathing his steel sword and thrusting into the air. Clang! The two swords clashed. Just as Li Dequan was about to use his qi to deflect Li Fuchen's sword, he realized that his sword was no longer under his control and was stuck to Li Fuchen's sword. What's going on? Li Dequan was shocked. You lost. Li Fuchen's sword was at Li Dequan's throat. Li Dequan swallowed his saliva. Young master, have you mastered the Red Jade Sword style? From what he knew, only the Red Jade Sword style could absorb the opponent's sword. I haven't mastered it yet. I have only cultivated the first move to subcompletion. Li Fuchen replied. First move to subcompletion stage? Li Dequan's eyes widened. Didn't they say that those below the 7th level of the Qi realm are unable to comprehend the essence of a high-tier, yellow-class sword style? The subcompletion stage already touched upon the essence of a sword style. A subcompletion high-tier, yellow-class sword style may not be as powerful as a completion mid-tier, yellow-class sword style, but its technique was far superior. And at the Qi realm, technique was more important than power. Remember to keep it a secret. Li Fuchen reminded. I understand, young master. There was a flash of excitement on Li Dequan's face. No one was optimistic about the young master. He didn't expect the young master to have such a trump card. Once the young master became a Tsanglan sect disciple, as the young master's servant, his status in the Li clan would rise significantly. How could he know that Li Fuchen didn't cultivate the Red Jade Sword style for the sake of the genius contest? There were many uncertainties in the future. Constantly strengthening oneself was what a martial artist should do. He cultivated the Red Jade Sword style purely to strengthen himself. Elder Chen, welcome to Cloud Fog City. At the main gate of the City Lord's mansion, Yunwu City Lord Shintu Jianhe warmly welcomed a blue-robed old man. City Lord Shintu is too polite. The blue-robed old man was about 60 years old. He wore a blue robe with a small white sword embroidered on the back of his robe. If anyone who knew the attire of the various sects was here, they would definitely recognize that the blue-robed veteran's attire was only worn by the outer sect elders of the Tsanglan sect. And the outer sect elders of the Tsanglan sect, without exception, were all Earth Realm martial artists. Their statuses were equivalent to the city lords of the Tsanglan region. During special periods, their statuses were higher than the city lords, like during the genius contest. Elder Chen, this way please. Shintu Jianhe led the blue-robed veteran to the meeting hall. In the meeting hall, Shintu Jianhe and the blue-robed veteran sat facing each other. The blue-robed veteran was named Qin Zongming. He took a sip of tea and spoke slowly. Your Yunwu City is doing well to actually have a 4-star bone frame. This year, we recruited a total of 5 prodigies. The other 4 prodigies came from large cities. Only your Yunwu City is a small city. Shintu Jianhe nodded. That last Guanshui is indeed not bad. A pity that our Shintu clan doesn't have such a prodigy. Shintu Jianhe was extremely envious of the Guan clan to have such a prodigy. Chen Zongming spoke with a deeper meaning. She isn't just a 4-star bone frame. City Lord Shintu, if I were you, I would build a good relationship with the Guan clan to avoid missing out on this golden opportunity. What does Elder Chen mean? Shintu Jianhe was surprised. Chen Zongming spoke slowly. Guanshui isn't just a 4-star bone frame. Within her bone frame, there is an extraordinary power that is comparable to a 5-star bone frame. With such a talent, she would be ranked top 20 in the Tsanglan sect. 4-star extraordinary bone frame? Shin-Tu Jianhe was flabbergasted. There were 2 types of bone frames, normal bone frames and extraordinary bone frames. There was nothing much to say about normal bone frames, but extraordinary bone frames contained extraordinary power. For example, the legendary Sun bone frame was an extraordinary bone frame. There were also thunder bone frames, flame bone frames, icy bone frames, and so on. Extraordinary bone frames cultivated the corresponding cultivation technique. The cultivation speed would be twice the result with half the effort, and the power of the cultivation technique would be extraordinary. For example, if the Sun bone frame cultivated the masculine yang cultivation technique, it would explode with the brilliance and power of the sun. If the thunder bone frame cultivated the thunder cultivation technique, it would have the destructive power to destroy everything. If the flame bone frame cultivated the fire cultivation technique, it would have the blazing heat to incinerate everything. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that in just a few years, the 4-star extraordinary bone frame Guanshui would definitely surpass him. By then, he would be able to look up to Guanshui, and the prestige of a city lord wouldn't even be worth mentioning. The Guan clan sure is blessed by 9 lifetimes. Shin-Tu Jianhe was no longer envious, but jealous. If his Shin-Tu clan also had a 4-star extraordinary bone frame, it would guarantee the Shin-Tu clan 100 years of glory. Chen Zongming laughed. There are some things that cannot be forced. Every dog has its day. No one knows who will be the main character in the future. Chen Zongming became a Tsanglan sect disciple in his teens. In the blink of an eye, a few decades had passed. Chen Zongming had witnessed the rise and fall of many prodigies. But no matter what, extraordinary bone frames were still rare. Prodigies with such bone frames wouldn't fall and would only get stronger and stronger. Fortunately, I have a good relationship with the Guan clan. Elder Chen doesn't have to worry about this. Shin-Tu Jianhe let out a smile of relief. Back then, he got close to the Guan clan and distanced himself from the Li clan. Now that he thought about it, it was a good move. It seems like in the future, he would have to deal with the Li clan. If he were to give half of the Li clan's assets to the Guan clan would definitely remember his kindness. As night fell, Yunwu City fell into darkness. But everyone's heart was burning with passion. Tomorrow was the day of the genius contest. It would be the time to decide the fate of each individual and their clan. Would they soar to the sky or leave in a miserable state? Tomorrow would be the day to find out. Li clan? Li Fuchen gazed at the starry sky. The starry sky that was filled with stars was shining brightly like never before. It was as if all the stars were bursting with the most resplendent radiance. Which star do I belong to? Li Fuchen reached out his hand with a deep gaze. Perhaps none of the stars belong to me. Because they do not represent me. I will become an existence that surpasses them. Li Fuchen's eyes shot out a golden light. The imposing golden light seemed to have dimmed the starlight in the starry sky. Everything in this world was centered around him, and he was the ruler. At this moment, Li Fuchen's thoughts had jumped out of the limits of his imagination and had a trace of transcendence. Chapter 21. When the first ray of sunlight tore through the darkness and shone onto the ground, the entire Yunwu City was like a pot of boiling water. On the west side of Yunwu City, there was a massive arena. Usually, martial artist competitions would be held here. But today, this was the only venue for the genius contest. The auditorium, which could accommodate thousands of people, was already filled with a sea of people, densely packed with human heads. Chief Escort Wang, how come you have the time to watch the genius contest? I heard that your Shunfeng escort agency received a big deal. Even if I don't have the time, I have to squeeze some time to watch. My son is going to fight today. Merchant Zhao, don't tell me your son is here for the genius contest too. My son hasn't grown up yet, but my godson will be participating. But your son is already 16 years old and doesn't have a godson. What's the point of watching? I'm here to check the wind direction. Basically, all the influential figures in Yunwu City were here. The biannual genius contest was a grand event and also a chance for everyone to find out each other's background. If a clan had more descendants, everyone would naturally get closer. If not, they would gradually drift apart. For the past 10 years, the Li clan had been slowly drifting away from everyone. If they still didn't gain anything this time, they would be marginalized. They might have the name of a major clan, but not the connections of a major clan. Look, the Yang clan is here. Among the 4 major clans, the Yang clan has the longest history. They have been in Yunwu City for close to a century. I wonder if they can create a legend this time. In the eyes of the crowd, the Yang clan walked in from one of the entrances. This time, the Yang clan had the highest number of participants among the 4 major clans with 9 members. I must become a Tsanglan sect disciple. Yang Qi clenched his fist tightly, his eyes flashing with the intent to kill anyone who stood in his way. The Guan clan is here too. The Guan clan has been doing well these few years. In just a few years, the Guan clan will surpass the Yang clan, maybe even the Shentu clan. In the eyes of the crowd, the Guan clan's rise was too fast. 20 years ago, they were just an unknown clan. 20 years later, their glory had already surpassed the Li clan, catching up to the Yang and Shentu clans. In the eyes of some, the Guan clan had already surpassed the Yang clan. The main reason for this was because Guan Shui became a Tsanglan sect disciple in advance. The patriarch of the Guan clan, Guan Yu, raised his head, his face filled with a smile and an air of arrogance. Perhaps it was a coincidence, but at the opposite entrance of the arena, a group of people from the Li family also walked in. The leader, Li Tianhan, couldn't help but look at Guan Yu. In Guan Yu's eyes, there was no longer any guilt. Instead, he was full of vigor. This was a cruel world. It didn't matter who was right or wrong. What was important was how one chose to choose. He believed that the Guan clan had chosen the right path, and the decline of the Li clan further proved that the rise of the Guan clan was unstoppable. Li Tianhan's face was indifferent as he shifted his gaze away. The Li clan is here. TSK, only 4 of them are participating in the genius contest. It seems like the decline of the Li clan is destined. I wonder if anyone from the Li clan will become a Tsanglan sect disciple. I don't think so. I heard that many geniuses have appeared in Yunwu City this time. For example, the number 1 genius of the north, He Ping, the number 1 genius of the south, Si Fei, the number 1 genius of the east, Zhu Hongxiu, the number 1 genius of the west, Sun Di. Adding on the geniuses of the other 3 major clans, it would be extremely difficult for the Li family to obtain a spot. If they can't even make it this year, there is basically no hope for the Li clan to make a comeback. In the audience, there was a flurry of discussion. Li Fuchen, who was following behind Li Tianhan, took in everyone's expressions with his eyes. The Li clan isn't in a good state right now. Li Fuchen sighed in his heart. He didn't blame these people for being snobbish. The strong rule was the nature of this world. If they couldn't adapt, then they would only be destroyed. But if they were to forsake their trust and principles for their own benefit, the end result wouldn't be good. The cycle of cause and effect, retribution. Sometimes, retribution will come, but it will come a little late. The arena was shaped like a bowl, with spectator seats on all 4 sides and a battle stage in the middle. Between the battle stage and the spectator seats was a circle of flat land. The youths participating in the Battle of Geniuses were gathered in groups of 3 to 5 on this flat land. Because Li Fuchen didn't receive Li Shanhe's guidance, Li Hongkai and Li Xiangdong stood beside Li Yunhai, separating Li Fuchen. Li Hongkai glanced at Li Fuchen and thought to himself, Li Fuchen is too arrogant. He thinks he doesn't need Uncle Shanhe's guidance. How would he know that after all these years, Xiangdong and I have improved by several folds? We are no longer the old us and he is still the old him. Greetings, Elder Qin, greetings, City Lord. On the rostrum, Guan Hong, Guan Yen, Yang Lai, Yang Zhan, Shen Tu Hu, Shen Tu Ba, and Li Shanhe greeted Shen Zongming and Shen Tu Jianhe. Shen Tu Jianhe waved his hand, no need for formalities. Sit down and watch. As inner sect disciples of the Tsanglan sect, the 7 of them were qualified to sit on the rostrum. Chen Zongming turned his head and said to Shen Tu Jianhe, City Lord Shen Tu, the time is up. The genius contest can begin. Indeed. Shen Tu Jianhe stood up and began to announce the rules and rewards of the genius contest. There were 4 rules for the genius contest. Firstly, no killing moves. Secondly, after the opponent concedes, no more attacks. Thirdly, no concealed weapons. Fourthly, no consumption of pills in advance or at the last minute. Violating any of these rules would result in immediate elimination and punishment. As for the rewards, they were very generous. 6th to 20th place would receive 1,000 gold coins and a bottle of low-tier yellow-class spirit pills. 4th to 5th place would receive 2,000 gold coins and 2 bottles of spirit pills. 3rd place would receive 3,000 gold coins and 5 bottles of spirit pills. 2nd place would receive 5,000 gold coins and a bottle of mid-tier yellow-class chi gathering pills. 1st place would receive 10,000 gold coins and 2 bottles of chi gathering pills. Of course, other than that, the top 5 could also become a Tsanglan sect disciple. This was the biggest reward. After hearing about the rewards, Li Fuchen was very tempted. A bottle of spirit chi pills was worth over 200 gold coins. A bottle of chi gathering pills was worth over 2,000 gold coins. If he could get first place, the total value of the rewards would be over 10,000 gold coins. This was a very tempting reward. Even a high-level origin realm martial artist would be moved by it. Li Fuchen's eyes lit up. What a generous reward. Even if I can't become a Tsanglan sect disciple, getting into the top 20 is still a great reward. Of course, many of them are here for the rewards. After all, there are only 5 spots for Tsanglan sect disciples. It isn't that easy to compete for them. The audience was filled with envy. After Shintu Jianhe finished announcing the rules and rewards, the participants went up on stage to draw lots. There were a total of 160 participants. All of them were below the age of 16 and were at least at the 5th level of the Qi realm. On the stage, Li Fuchen randomly drew the number 37, which meant that he was going to spar with another youth who drew the number 37. The genius contest officially begins. May the contestant with number 1 please come on stage. Chapter 22. The ones who drew lot number 1 were 2 ordinary-looking youths, both of them at the 5th level of the Qi realm. For the sake of safety, the weapons in their hands were custom-made wooden swords. These wooden swords were extremely tough and could withstand the force of 1,000 jin. They also wore thick, custom-made leather armor. If they did not intentionally injure others, there would basically be no casualties. Crackle! The 2 of them quickly exchanged blows, the wooden swords clashing against each other at an alarming rate. Unknowingly, more than a dozen battles had ended. Everyone could clearly see that compared to the disciples of the 4 major families, the disciples of the smaller families were much weaker. Up until now, the disciples of the smaller families hadn't won a single battle against the disciples of the 4 major families. Number 15, come on stage. As the referee's voice rang out, a long-haired youth walked onto the stage, followed by Li Hongkai. Li Hongkai smiled confidently. You're unlucky to have met me. Under Li Shanhe's tutelage, he believed that only the descendants of the 4 great clans were his match. Hee, I really don't know if you are ignorant or stupid. Si Fei sneered, his eyes flashing with a cold light. Who is this person? He's too arrogant and ignorant. He actually doesn't respect the number 1 genius of the South, Si Fei. He's a disciple of the Li family. His name is Li Hongkai. No wonder the Li family declined. It turns out that they are full of arrogant people. Li Hongkai's words made the Li family the target of public condemnation. In the VIP seats, Li Tianhan's expression was ugly. On the rostrum, Li Shanhe snorted coldly, these people will soon know how powerful Li Hongkai is. To the side, Yang Lai mocked, Li Shanhe, I thought you had some ability, but now it seems that you're just the opponent of your Li clan isn't some random nobody, but the number 1 genius of the South, Si Fei. Not to mention your Li clan, even my Guan clan's disciples have no confidence in defeating him except for Guan Peng. The Guan family is the Guan family, and the Li family is the Li family. Don't mix them up. Li Shanhe insisted. Chen Zongming shook his head when he heard Li Shanhe's words. He didn't have a good impression of the Li family. 3 swords. In just 3 swords, Li Hongkai was defeated by Si Feijian. Li Hongkai's face was full of disbelief, and he was in a daze. Li Clan's disciple, get off the stage. You're embarrassing yourself. Scram. At first, only a small number of people were shouting, but as time went on, more and more people were shouting. At this moment, everyone in the Li clan felt they had lost all face, and they wished for nothing more than to bury their heads in the ground. Damn it, how did this Li Shanhe teach them? Li Tianhan hated Li Shanhe to the core. In his memory, Li Hongkai wasn't this arrogant before. Yang Lai turned his head to look at Li Shanhe. Now that your Li family has become the target of public criticism, I wonder how you feel. Yang Lai, shut up. Li Shanhe glared at Yang Lai. You are the one who should shut up. Chen Zongming snorted coldly and strands of pressure spread out. At that moment, Li Shanhe felt as if someone had poured a bucket of cold water over him. Seeing this, Guan Hong, Guan Yen, and the others sneered. Li Hongkai didn't know how he got off the stage. It was as if he had lost his soul. Li Yunhai cursed in his heart and said, "You better adjust your attitude. When the time comes, I will make everyone shut up." Hearing this, Li Fuchen reminded, Li Yunhai, the Li clan has left a bad impression on everyone. I advise you to restrain yourself. Li Fuchen, just mind your own business. I will make my own decisions. Before this, Li Yunhai still treated Li Fuchen as an opponent. But when the contest started, he realized that Li Fuchen wasn't even a match for him anymore. His vision should be broader and not limited to the Li clan. Frowning, Li Fuchen didn't say anything else. Some people, if not taught a harsh lesson, they wouldn't know what self-awareness was. To be honest, being arrogant wasn't wrong. But to be arrogant, one must have the capital to back it up. Like Li Hongkai, he didn't have the capital to back it up. This was the main reason why he incurred the wrath of the crowd. If Yang Kai was this arrogant, would anyone say he overestimated himself? Probably not. Because of Li Hongkai, when Li Xiangdong went up the stage, he was once again ridiculed by the crowd. This caused Li Xiangdong to perform poorly and lose to someone who wasn't as good as him. Li Xiangdong's defeat worsened the reputation of the Li clan. It was a vicious cycle. Finally, it was Li Yunhai's turn. His opponent was a prodigy from the south. Even though his ability wasn't as good as Si Fei, he had a good reputation. The ridicule from the crowd didn't affect Li Yunhai's performance. After a dozen moves, Li Yunhai defeated his opponent cleanly. At the end of the battle, Li Yunhai coldly scanned the audience. But his attitude didn't shut the crowd up. Instead, it made the situation even more intense. If I knew this would happen, I would have beaten him back at the Li clan. Li Fuchen was speechless. Contestant 37, get on the stage. It was Li Fuchen's turn. Landing lightly on the stage, Li Fuchen looked up and saw his opponent was a Guan clan's descendant. Li Fuchen, Guan Shui has a message for you. This Guan clan's descendant was called Guan Jie. His eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness as he whispered to Li Fuchen. But it was obvious that this sentence was to distract Li Fuchen. He stomped on the ground and in the blink of an eye, appeared in front of Li Fuchen, thrusting his sword at him. Li Fuchen's expression was indifferent. He didn't even draw his sword. With a wave of his arm, he deflected Guan Jie's wooden sword. The difference in ability between us is too great. No tricks will work. While speaking, Li Fuchen sent his opponent flying with a palm strike. Not even drawing his sword, the Li clan is full of madmen. Guan Hong and Guan Yen were displeased. In the following battles, a few of the more popular prodigies went up the stage. There were 3 that caught Li Fuchen's attention. One was Yang Kai, another was the southern region's top prodigy He Ping, and the last was the eastern region's top prodigy Zhu Hongxiu. Yang Kai's ability was overwhelming. Be it his foundation or combat ability, they were all at the peak. His opponent didn't even have the time to react and was sent off the stage with a single palm strike. It was like an adult beating up a child without any suspense. He Ping's combat ability seemed to be even more outstanding than Yang Kai's. With a single blade, his opponent was sent flying along with his sword. Zhu Hongxiu, on the other hand, was an elegant and beautiful young girl. Just like her appearance, her swordsmanship was gorgeous to the extreme. With a swing of her sword, the sword shadows were like a peacock spreading its tail. The shadows were indistinct and dazzling. Other than that, the Shintu clan's Shintuju was also very strong. The Shintu clan was the city lord's clan, and their cultivation technique wasn't a high-tier, yellow-class technique, but a peak-tier, Xiao Yang Luo Qi. Chapter 23. After the first round, the top 80 was decided. 7 from the Yang clan, 6 from the Shintu clan, 6 from the Guan clan, and only 2 from the Li clan, Li Fuchen and Li Yunhai. The battles for the top 40 were obviously much more intense than the previous rounds. After this round, the Yang clan was reduced to 5, Shintu clan had 4, Guan clan had 3, and the Li clan still had 2. The third round was the top 20. This round of battles could no longer be described as intense, it was tragic. The top 20 meant generous rewards. Once one entered the top 20, they would be able to fight for a few years less. Enemies on a narrow road, Li Fuchen once again met Guan Peng. The Li clan's luck sure is bad. Li Fuchen actually met Guan Peng this early. Indeed, if he didn't meet Guan Peng, it wouldn't be hard for Li Fuchen to enter the top 20. The crowd was in a heated discussion. In the first 3 rounds, Li Fuchen performed well and easily defeated his opponent. But Guan Peng was different. As one of the 6 that soaked in the tempering pool, Guan Peng had the ability to enter the top 10. Except for Yang Kai, who could defeat him, no one else could. Li Fuchen, seems like this is heaven's arrangement. Guan Peng had a look of schadenfreude on his face. Losing to Li Fuchen was Guan Peng's greatest humiliation. He swore that he would make Li Fuchen pay the price. Now was the chance. The top 40 to the top 20 was a crucial round. If he entered, not only would he receive generous rewards, he would also have the chance to fight for the top 5. But if he didn't enter, he would get nothing and all his hard work would be in vain. Li Fuchen smiled. It is indeed heaven's arrangement. Still so stubborn even at death's door. I will knock all your teeth out later. Seeing Li Fuchen's confident look, Guan Peng was enraged. Patriarch, do you think Guan Peng will be in danger? The one who spoke was Guan Tian, who was sitting beside Guan Yu. Guan Tian was Guan Peng's father. He originally had confidence in Guan Peng, but Guan Peng lost to Li Fuchen. Even though he didn't know how he lost, but a loss was a loss. It meant that Li Fuchen had some ability. But on the stage, anything could happen, he wasn't sure. Guan Yu shook his head. Don't worry. Previously, Guan Peng lost to Li Fuchen due to carelessness. But now, Li Fuchen is definitely not a match for Guan Peng. Guan Yu was surprised by Li Fuchen's sudden rise. But in his eyes, a normal bone frame was just a normal bone frame and couldn't do much. Just a normal bone frame, why are you all so nervous? Just a normal bone frame, why are all so nervous? Guan Yu and Guan Tian looked at each other awkwardly. The elder was the only Earth Realm martial artist in the Guan clan. He wouldn't show himself easily and would only appear once every 2 years during the genius contest. Li Fuchen said. Yu Fuchen. Guan Peng's body suddenly moved. The wooden sword was like a continuous drizzle, sprinkling towards Li Fuchen. Ding ding dang dang. His strength seems to have increased quite a bit. After exchanging moves, Li Fuchen had a better understanding of Guan Peng's ability. Not only did Guan Peng have an astounding amount of physical strength, every slash was also very tricky. It was probably due to his combat training. How is this possible? Guan Peng furrowed his brows. After a period of combat training, his sword style had a qualitative improvement. Every blade was aimed at Li Fuchen's flaws. In his opinion, even if Li Fuchen was strong in combat, it was impossible for him to surpass him. If Li Fuchen was weaker than him, the soft flowing sword style would instantly penetrate him. But if Li Fuchen was on par with him, with his astounding strength, he could easily send Li Fuchen's wooden sword flying. But the result was out of his expectations. His soft water sword technique was actually cancelled out by the clear wind sword technique. Not only that, but every strike of the opponent's was aimed at the weakest part of his wooden sword, causing him to only be able to use 40 to 50% of his power. Interesting. This kid's combat ability is very outstanding. He can easily see through the flaws of his opponent's sword techniques. Chen Zongming's eyes lit up and he nodded approvingly. Shin Tu Jianhe nodded. This child is called Li Fuchen, the son of the Li clan's patriarch. His combat talent isn't bad, but a pity that his bone frame is just a normal bone frame. Normal bone frame? Chen Zongming let out a look of pity. Even though Li Fuchen's combat talent wasn't considered outstanding, but it was already very good. If he had a 2-star bone frame, he would be a promising talent in the Zhonglan sect. This little b*********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** Peng? Guan Hong and Guan Yen had an ugly expression on their faces. Under their guidance, Guan Peng's combat ability had a qualitative improvement. But it was obvious that Li Fuchen's combat ability was superior, easily breaking through Guan Peng's soft flowing sword style. Don't be too happy yet. Guan Peng roared and changed his sword stance from the soft flowing sword style to the falling rain sword style. Compared to the soft flowing sword style, the falling rain sword style gave up on some of the techniques, but increased the speed and attack frequency of the sword. It was as though a drizzle had turned into a drizzle, pitter-pattering non-stop. Like I said, if I can defeat you once, I can defeat you a second time. It was still the clear breeze sword style, but this time the sword stance of the clear breeze sword style was much more rapid. With a swing of the blade, Guan Peng's sword stance was instantly disintegrated. Between the two of them, a series of crackling sounds could be heard. Young friend, this old man is Guan Tong. I wonder if you can give me some face and give up this match? I will give you the reward you want after this match. Right at this moment, an illusory voice drilled into Li Fuchen's ear, causing Li Fuchen's sword stance to falter and reveal a flaw. Even though he didn't know why Li Fuchen revealed a flaw, Guan Peng didn't care. His falling rain sword style went from weak to strong and counterattacked Li Fuchen. Li Fuchen's expression turned ugly. He quickly retreated and fell into a disadvantageous position. What's going on? How could Li Fuchen make such a huge mistake? It shouldn't be. Why shouldn't it be? Maybe Li Fuchen's burst was too strong at the start and weakened at the end. That seems to make sense. The twists and turns on the stage caused the crowd to have a heated discussion. Li Fuchen still had some strength left. A single Guan Peng wasn't worth it for him to reveal all his trump cards. After a few breaths, Li Fuchen regained control of the situation and continued to suppress Guan Peng. Young friend, this old man is a man of his words. As long as you give up this chance, this old man will give you 5,000 gold coins. The voice once again entered Li Fuchen's ears. Li Fuchen turned a deaf ear and his sword stance became even more rapid. Seeing the situation, the veteran beside Guan Yu had a gloomy expression and his lips twitched. Young friend, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. With my, Guan Tong's, face, even the city lord has to give some face. You better consider this carefully. Peng. Chapter 24. Crackle. The two steel balls in his hands were melted into molten iron. Guan Tong let out a cold grunt and revealed his murderous intent. He begged Li Fuchen time and time again, but didn't expect Li Fuchen to turn a deaf ear. Guan Peng lost. Guan Yu and Guan Tian couldn't react for a long time. They never expected Guan Peng to fall in the midst of advancing to the top 20. Despicable little b*****************, D, ruining my son's future. I'm not done with you. Guan Tian gritted his teeth, his face twisted. Guan Yu frowned. He originally had no feelings for Li Fuchen, but now he hated Li Fuchen. On the rostrum, Guan Hong and Guan Yen felt like they ate a dead fly and were extremely uncomfortable. Before the competition, the two of them didn't put Li Fuchen in their eyes and thought that under their guidance, Guan Peng could definitely compete for the top 3. But now, Guan Peng didn't even make it into the top 20. Contrary to the Guan clan, Li Tianhan and Xin Yuyan were both excited. Li Tianhan was full of smiles. The unhappiness caused by Li Hongkai was swept away. Xin Yuyan was glowing, as though she was a few years younger. The Guan clan sure are shameless. After sending Guan Peng flying, Li Fuchen glanced at the veteran beside Guan Yu. This veteran was Guan Tong, the only Earth Realm martial artist of the Guan clan. He was rumored to be at the second level of the Earth Realm. Earth Realm martial artists were extremely formidable. But it didn't mean that a 2-star bone frame would definitely become an Earth Realm martial artist. It could only be said that there was a high chance. Earth Realm martial artists didn't just have incredible strength, they also had all sorts of unbelievable techniques. Voice transmission was one of them. It could transmit a voice to the target's ear from a certain distance. The higher the cultivation level, the further the transmission distance. Under the gasps of the crowd, Li Fuchen left the stage. The Yang clan was reduced from 5 to 4, the Shintu clan had 3, the Guan clan had 2, and the Li clan had 2. The 4 major clans had a total of 11 participants. The remaining 9 were from the minor clans. 4 of them were famous. They were the North's top prodigy He Ping, South's top prodigy Si Fei, East's top prodigy Zhu Hongxiu, and West's top prodigy Sun Di. The following matches were the qualifying rounds. Compared to the elimination round, the ranking round was much fairer. You wouldn't be eliminated just because you lost a match. Of course, those who accumulated 5 losses would still be eliminated. After all, the Battle of Geniuses was mainly for the top 5. The 6th to the 20th place didn't need to be ranked. In the first round, Li Fuchen was matched against the West's number 1 prodigy, Sun Di. Sun Di's ability was strong, but that was only in comparison to others. In Li Fuchen's opinion, he was about the same as Xianxia. Without much effort, Li Fuchen won the first match of the qualifying round. In the second round, Li Fuchen went against the Shintu clan's 3rd-ranked clansman, Shintu Hai. In the third round, Li Fuchen went up against the Southern's number 1 prodigy, Si Fei. You are very strong, but I will be the one to emerge victorious in the end. Si Fei's swift sword was deeply engraved in people's hearts. Up until now, he had not tasted defeat, and his momentum was like a rainbow. I'm afraid it won't go as you wish. Li Fuchen could see that Si Fei's sword was fast and ruthless. He should have a lot of combat experience. But in this world, combat experience didn't necessarily equate to combatability, it also depended on one's combat talent. There is a price to pay for being arrogant, and I will be the one to make you pay. Si Fei grinned and attacked Li Fuchen with the Si clan's 36-path swift sword. Si Fei's sword was too fast, one move after another, one sword after another, all aimed at Li Fuchen's vital points. A regular person wouldn't be able to withstand more than a few strikes from Si Fei. A pity that Li Fuchen wasn't a regular person. Up until now, Li Fuchen hadn't gone all out, at least not revealing the 6th-rank Red Jade technique. Revolving the 5th-rank Red Jade technique, Li Fuchen executed the Clear Breeze sword style to welcome the 36-path swift sword. Clang clang clang. The sound of the wooden swords clashing was like the rain hitting the banana leaves. In the blink of an eye, the 2 swords had clashed at least 4 to 5 times. Take my move, Swift Windgrass. The Si clan's 36-path swift sword contained many sword moves. The Swift Windgrass move was extremely fast, like the grass in the wind, extremely sharp. The wooden sword sliced through the air, emitting a soul-shaking sound as it hurriedly attacked Li Fuchen's chest. Let go! Li Fuchen's Clear Breeze sword style was already at the completion stage. In the blink of an eye, he could swing at least 6 times. Si Fei's Swift Windgrass was only considered average in his eyes. Aiming at the trajectory of his opponent's sword, Li Fuchen made a move later but arrived first, striking at the hilt of his opponent's sword. With a numb palm, Si Fei's wooden sword flew out of his hand. Si Fei's face was flushed red. Unwilling to admit defeat, he leapt into the air and sent a flying kick at Li Fuchen's head, displaying your slight skill in front of an expert. Li Fuchen's body spun like a whirlwind, landing 3 consecutive kicks on Si Fei's chest. The kicks caused Si Fei's mouth to bleed and he fell off the stage. Li Fuchen, you dare injure me? Falling off the stage, Si Fei was burning with anger, pointing at Li Fuchen and roaring. Members of the Si clan were infuriated and protested to the referee. Li Fuchen gave a cold snort and walked off the stage. This Li Fuchen is too ruthless. Elder, should we give him a warning? If he offends us again, we will disqualify him. Guan Hong suggested to Chen Zongming. Chen Zongming shook his head. Si Fei asked for it, don't blame Li Fuchen. Even though he had high hopes for the Guan clan, it didn't mean he didn't have his own stance. His stance was that whoever had the potential, he would look favorably upon them. Hearing this, Guan Hong and Guan Yan's expressions changed several times, but ultimately didn't say anything. With the end of the third round of matches, the sky turned dark. City Lord Shintu Jianhe announced that the contest would continue tomorrow morning. At night, everyone was staying in Yunwu City. Yunhai, do you have the confidence to defeat Li Fuchen? In an room, Li Taizhan asked Li Yunhai. Li Yunhai gritted his teeth. Dad, I will do my best. He originally had the confidence to defeat Li Fuchen, but after Li Fuchen defeated Guan Peng, he lost all confidence. He couldn't imagine where Li Fuchen's combat ability came from. He didn't even receive any guidance from Li Shanhe. In the room, Li Shanhe was also present. He slowly said, we can persuade Li Fuchen to intentionally lose to Yunhai when he meets him. He was Li Yunhai's uncle and had a much closer relationship than Li Fuchen. What's more, he always disliked Li Fuchen. Intentionally lose to Yunhai? Li Taizhan was tempted. I'm afraid Li Fuchen won't accept it. Li Shanhe sneered. This isn't up to him. A normal bone frame will always be a normal bone frame with no future. Giving the opportunity to Yunhai is the right way to go. He should look at the bigger picture. After all, the Li clan raised him for so many years. It is time for him to contribute to the Li clan. If Li Fuchen can look at the bigger picture, that would be for the best. Chapter 25. The Li clan's patriarch was also an Earth Realm martial artist, and his cultivation was one level higher than Guantong. He was at the third level of the Earth Realm. It was because of the Li family's ancestor that the Li family was able to maintain their status. Otherwise, the Li family would have been suppressed by the three major families to the point where they had no place to stand. The Li family's ancestor was called Li Xianfeng. After knowing why Li Taizhan and Li Shanhe came, Li Xianfeng muttered, Yunhai hasn't lost a single match yet. Let's wait and see tomorrow. To be honest, he was rather fond of Li Yunhai. As an Earth Realm martial artist, he knew how hard it was to break through to the Earth Realm. He, who had a 2-star bone frame, was stuck at the 9th level of the Origin Realm for 10 years. If he had a normal bone frame, he might have been stuck at the 9th level of the Origin Realm for his entire life. Thank you, Ancestor. Li Tieshan's face lit up. With Li Xuanfeng's words, this matter would most likely succeed. In the other guest room, Li Fuchen's family was present. Fuchen, with your ability, you might be able to get into the top 5, but you must not let your guard down. Li Tianhan's heart was still racing, but he couldn't be blamed. Anyone who knew that their son was about to become a Tsang sect disciple would be extremely excited. Dad, Mom, don't worry. Li Fuchen was very confident. He still had the 6th rank Red Jade technique that he had yet to reveal. Once it was revealed, apart from Yang Kai, no one else would be able to withstand more than a few strikes from him. The night passed uneventfully, and the next morning arrived. The arena was packed with people, and the sound waves soared into the sky. The battle of geniuses continues. Shintu Jianhe announced the start of the match. In the 4th round, Li Fuchen persisted and defeated his opponent without any surprises. However, Li Yunhai's luck was not as good. In the 4th round, he encountered the Northern region's #1 genius, He Ping. He Ping's combat ability wasn't inferior to Kai Yang's, and his strength wasn't weak either, weighing around 400 to 500 jin. The two of them fought for more than 10 rounds, with He Ping suppressing Li Yunhai. Shallow fish glide. Li Yunhai practiced the drifting sword art. He lowered his body and swung his sword, unleashing one of the ultimate moves of the drifting sword art. Eagle soars the sky. He Ping's battle experience was extremely rich. He instantly soared into the air and slashed down with his sword. Li Yunhai's chest was pierced by the sword, and the immense force almost caused him to pass out. This He Ping is so strong, he actually defeated Li Yunhai, who soaked in the tempering pool. Among the disciples of the small clans, He Ping's strength is without a doubt #1, and Zhu Hongxiu is #2. It is not surprising that he could defeat Li Yunhai. After Guan Peng, Li Yunhai was the second-seeded player to be defeated. This made many people feel hopeful. Seeded players who had soaked in the tempering pool weren't unbeatable. As long as they were strong enough, they could still be defeated. Coincidentally, in the 5th round, Zhu Hongxiu defeated the Yang family's Yang Hao, who was second only to Yang Kai. Her swordsmanship was magnificent and eye-catching. Just like that, 3 of the seeded players had already been defeated. In the 6th round of the Genius Tournament, Li Yunhai was up against the number 1 genius of the Shentu clan, Shen Tuju. Shen Tuju cultivated the Xiao Yang Aura Qi, and having cultivated it to the peak of the 4th layer, Shen Tuju's true Qi was even stronger than Kai Yang's. How could Li Yunhai be his opponent? Within 7 or 8 moves, he was defeated by Shen Tuju's sword. On the rostrum, Shen Tu Jianhe smiled. As the city lord of Yunwu City, he cultivated the Tsanglan sect's mystic class, mid-tier, Scarlet Mystic Flame technique. Due to the sect's rules, no one was allowed to privately impart their sect's cultivation technique, which was why the Scarlet Mystic Flame technique wasn't passed down to the Shentu clan. The Xiao Yang Dipper Qi was something he obtained from outside. It had a total of 9 ranks, and once cultivated to the 4th rank, it would be comparable to a yellow class, high-tier technique's 5th rank. Furthermore, the Xiao Yang Dipper Qi that was cultivated was extremely ferocious. Once the enemy was hit by it, it would feel like they were being roasted by fire, causing unbearable pain. After 6 rounds, 2 people had been eliminated. These 2 people had only won 1 round and had lost 5 rounds in total. In the 7th round, Li Fuchen was up against Shen Tu Liang. Don't think that you can defeat me just because you defeated Guan Peng. My strength is above his. 2 months ago, Shen Tu Liang didn't have the confidence to defeat Li Fuchen. At that time, he had yet to soak in the tempering pool and didn't have any combat training. Winning or losing isn't decided by words. Li Fuchen said indifferently. What a sharp mouth you have. Watch me smash your mouth. Revolving the 4th rank Xiao Yang Luo Qi, Shen Tu Liang's entire body heated up. The air on the surface of his wooden sword was slightly distorted. It wasn't hard to imagine what would happen if he got grazed by it. But after 7 or 8 rounds, Shen Tu Liang wasn't as arrogant as before. Li Fuchen's sword was much heavier than he imagined, and the angles were tricky, making him feel uncomfortable. Against Shen Tu Liang, Li Fuchen used the Xiao Shang sword style. The Xiao Shang sword style that was at the completion stage was not only exquisite, but also contained an exceptional amount of qi within each blade. Without considering the physical strength, an average person's blade strength would be around 700 to 800 kilograms, while Li Fuchen's could reach 1,000 kilograms. Even without soaking in the tempering pool, Li Fuchen's explosive attack power wasn't any weaker than his seeded contestants. Almost there. Li Fuchen's sword speed suddenly increased. With a swing of his blade, a piercing sound pierced through the air. Shen Tu Liang didn't even have time to react and was struck in the chest, sending him flying. Damn it. Shen Tu Jianhe crushed the teacup in his hand, with an ashen expression. After defeating Shen Tu Liang, Li Fuchen shook his head. Too weak. Be it in terms of foundation or combat ability, his opponents in the genius contest were all weak. Up until now, excluding the 6th rank Red Jade technique, he hadn't even displayed 70% of his true ability. Which means, without exposing the 6th rank Red Jade technique, he could still win with ease. In the 8th round, Li Yunhai lost again, to Zhu Hongxiu. Even though Zhu Hongxiu's physical strength couldn't be compared to Li Yunhai's, but her sword style was close to the completion stage. It contained a lot of qi. Coupled with the exquisite sword style and outstanding combat ability, Li Yunhai only lasted for a few dozen moves before being defeated. Following Li Yunhai's defeat to Zhu Hongxiu, Li Taizhan was in a bad mood. In the following matches, if Li Yunhai lost another 2 matches, he would be eliminated. Other than He Ping, Shen Tuju, and Zhu Hongxiu, there were many others who could defeat Li Yunhai. Like Yang Kai, Li Fuchen, and Shen Tu Liang and Yang Hao who had the same ability as Li Yunhai. It could be said that it was a dangerous situation. Whether or not Li Fuchen surrendered would be the deciding factor. Founder. Li Taizhan looked at Li Xianfeng. Li Xianfeng nodded. Tianhan, you are the patriarch of the Li clan. As the patriarch, you have to look at the bigger picture. What I am about to say will affect the future of the Li clan. I hope you can understand and carry it out. Li Xianfeng said to Li Tianhan in a sincere tone. Chapter 26. Li Xianfeng spoke slowly. With Fuchen's ability, even if he loses one match, he still has a high chance of entering the top 5. For the future of the Li clan, I hope he loses one match to Yunhai. That is impossible. Li Tianhan immediately rejected. The genius contest is being watched by the Zhanglan sect's outer sect elder. If Fuchen goes easy, he will be disqualified. In the past, it wasn't like there wasn't such a precedent. A certain clan wanted to obtain more spots for their clan and allowed their clansmen to throw the match. But when the Azure Water sect's outer sect elder noticed something amiss, he immediately disqualified the clansmen who threw the match. Don't think that the Zhanglan sect can't do it. There are countless cities in the Zhanglan region and countless prodigies. It doesn't matter if you have one or not. Those clansmen with real potential have already entered the Zhanglan sect. Then we can only give up one. You are the patriarch, I think you should know which one to give up. Li Xianfeng knew that this method wouldn't work. If not, he wouldn't even need to say it himself. Li Tianhan's expression turned ugly. Founder wants me to give up Fuchen? That is impossible. Let alone Fuchen agreeing. Even if he agrees, I won't agree. He wasn't so selfless. So what if he was the patriarch? If he had to give up his son's future for the patriarch's position, then he would rather not be the patriarch. Li Xianfeng frowned. I know how you feel as a father. But you have to know that you are not only Fuchen's father, but also the Li clan's patriarch. If you can't contribute to the Li clan, who else can? Contribute? Asking my own son to give up something that belongs to him, is that considered contribution? Li Tianhan asked. Li Xianfeng spoke in a deep voice. Tianhan, I don't know if you are really muddle-headed or just pretending. Everyone knows that Fuchen is a normal bone frame, but Yunhai is a 2-star bone frame. How can a normal bone frame compare to a 2-star bone frame? Giving up a normal bone frame and choosing a 2-star bone frame is the best choice for the Li clan. Li Tianhan shook his head. Founder, forgive me for not agreeing. So what if you have a 2-star bone frame? In this world, there are plenty of 2-star bone frames, but how many of them are able to reach the Earth realm? A normal bone frame might still be able to reach the Earth realm. The Rising Sun City Lord that is 3,000 miles away rose up with a normal bone frame and eventually became a city lord. That is just an example. How can it be counted? If only 1 out of 5 2-star bone frames can advance to the Earth realm, then there might not even be 1 out of 100 normal bone frames that can advance to the Earth realm. This 1% chance doesn't make any difference at all. Ancestor, do you think that Fuchen is purely a normal bone frame? My Li clan has been established in Cloud Mist City for 60 years. When have you ever seen an ordinary bone frame perform like this? Perhaps he will be the second Chaoyang City Lord. Hearing this, Li Xuanfeng's expression changed. Li Fuchen really couldn't treat him as a normal bone frame. This performance was even better than the Rising Sun City Lord when he was young. But a normal bone frame, there were too many unknowns. Shaking his head, Li Xianfeng said, the clan has already spent too much effort on Yunhai. We cannot give up on him. I hope you can look at the bigger picture and not let me down. At this moment, Shen Yuyan couldn't help but speak. Founder, Fuchen gave up the chance to compete for the tempering pool for the Li clan. Now you want him to give up the chance to enter the Zhanglan sect. In the future, will Fuchen have to give up his life? How long will he have to give up? Isn't this too unfair to Fuchen? At this moment, she felt extremely uncomfortable. Shen Yuyan, you are just a woman. Since when is it your turn to speak? Li Taizhan reprimanded Shen Yuyan. Li Tianhan glared at Li Taizhan. Li Taizhan, Yen is my wife and the patriarch's wife. Since when is it your turn to reprimand her? Who do you think you are? Li Taizhan coldly said, Li Tianhan, you use your position as the patriarch to oppress others. A pity that you haven't done what a patriarch should do. In your eyes, the future of the Li clan cannot be compared to your son's future. You are not fit to be the patriarch. Li Taizhan, don't try to twist words. I, Li Tianhan, don't know any great principles. I only know that a martial artist must have an unyielding character. Whatever you want, you have to fight for it. Your son needs to rely on others to give him opportunities. In my opinion, he won't be able to achieve anything great. As for my son Fuchen, even though he only has a normal bone frame, his current achievements are all due to his own hard work. He doesn't need any charity. Fighting for it himself? What a joke. If it wasn't for the Scarlet Snow Pill, do you think your son could advance to the 6th level of the Qi realm? Li Taizhan sneered. The Scarlet Snow Pill was given to him by me as his father. Can't I? Yes, of course you can. You are the patriarch of the Li clan. Everything in the Li clan belongs to you. Even if you want to squeeze the entire Li clan dry for your son, it's fine. What can I say? Li Tianhan's eyes widened in anger. Enough. Li Xianfeng looked at Li Tianhan coldly. Tianhan, you have disappointed me. It was my mistake to choose you as the Li clan's patriarch. From today onwards, you are no longer the Li clan's patriarch. As for your son Fuchen, I will speak to him personally. He didn't believe that a Li clan's descendant would dare to defy the founder's words. Founder. Shen Yuyan was mournful. Li Fuchen, who was spectating from below the stage, suddenly heard a voice. Fuchen, I am your great-grandfather, Li Xianfeng. Li Fuchen frowned and turned to look at Li Xuanfeng's group. You are a descendant of the Li clan and should contribute to the Li clan. Now great-grandfather requests for you to lose to Yunhai. I hope you don't disappoint great-grandfather's expectations. After this matter is over, great-grandfather will compensate you. Li Xuanfeng's words entered Li Fuchen's ears without missing a single word. Li Fuchen remained expressionless and lowered his eyes. As if fate was playing tricks on him, the 10th round was Li Fuchen's match against Li Yunhai. Li Fuchen, I hope you make the right choice. When I become an Earth Realm martial artist, I will not mistreat you. And you will be proud of the choice you made today. Li Yunhai said indifferently. Relying on opportunities given by others, can you really accept it with a clear conscience? Li Fuchen asked in return. Li Yunhai laughed. Why can't I accept it? In this world, the strong rule. As for how one becomes an expert, who cares? The process isn't important, what matters is the result. I am undoubtedly the Li clan's hope, you aren't. What a clear conscience. Li Fuchen lifted his eyelids and stared at Li Yunhai. Since I, Li Fuchen, came to this world, I will not be bound by anyone. No one can obstruct my path, not even the founder. Li Yunhai, you shall be defeated. Li Fuchen didn't plan to lose to his opponent, because he wasn't worthy. The wooden sword thrusted at Li Yunhai at an astounding speed. This blade was the strongest blade that Li Fuchen displayed in the genius contest so far. Only a shadow of the blade could be seen. Li Yunhai was shocked. Li Fuchen, you are out of control. You are the sinner of the Li clan. This blade was too fast. Li Yunhai could only raise his wooden sword to block. Crackle! The wooden sword in Li Yunhai's hand was broken. Immediately after, he felt a pain in his chest and was sent flying like a cloud. For a moment, the entire arena was in shock. Chapter 27. Defeating the seeded contestant Li Yunhai with a single blade, Li Fuchen's explosive ability was much stronger than before, as though he was a completely different person. Such strength! Zhu Hongxiu originally had the confidence to defeat Li Fuchen, but after witnessing this blade, she lost all confidence. This sword was too domineering, too sharp. The wooden sword used for the tournament was extremely tough and could withstand a force of 1,000 kilograms. It was basically impossible for anyone below the 7th level of the Qi realm to break a wooden sword. But Li Fuchen used his astonishing sword speed to forcefully break the wooden sword. What a domineering move! Interesting, he actually concealed his true ability. Yang Kai's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. This child is not to be underestimated, he is worth nurturing. Chen Zongming praised in his heart. If Li Fuchen was a 2-star bone frame, Qin Zongming wouldn't be so surprised. But Li Fuchen was obviously a normal bone frame, yet he was able to achieve what even a 2-star bone frame couldn't. This was enough to catch his attention. The Azure Water sect that ruled the Azure Water region didn't only value star-grade bone frames. The Azure Water sect would also give opportunities to those with outstanding talents and normal bone frames. The bone frame determined a person's innate potential, but as long as a normal bone frame worked hard and had some innate talent, they would still have the chance to become an Earth Realm martial artist. At least Qin Zongming knew that among the Earth Realm martial artists, there were around 10 normal bone frames. Of course, an Earth Realm martial artist was the limit for a regular bone frame. Therefore, it was impossible for a regular bone frame to obtain a high treatment. He's simply lawless and has no respect for his elders. Li Xuanfeng's body was trembling. As the founder of the Li clan, he wouldn't allow anyone to disobey him. Even if it was Li Tianhan, he would dismiss him with absolute authority. But he didn't expect a junior like Li Fuchen to disregard his words. Not only that, he defeated Li Yunhai with absolute strength, as though he was doing it for him to see. Li Tianhan, you have taught your son well. Li Xianfeng stared at Li Tianhan with a stern expression. Li Tianhan and Xin Yuyan didn't dare to make a sound, but in their hearts, they were extremely proud. Their son was more outstanding than they imagined. Even when facing the patriarch's coercion, he dared to resist. This was a true martial artist. A true martial artist dares to go against heaven and earth. They weren't true martial artists, but Li Fuchen was. Rebellion, this is rebellion. Founder, we cannot let him go. Li Taizhan was enraged, his eyes were red. Li Tianhan didn't dare to talk back to the founder, but he didn't put Li Taizhan in his eyes. Li Taizhan, don't you forget that after the genius contest, my son will become a Tsanglan sect disciple. A Tsanglan sect disciple was sacred and inviolable. Even if the city lord wanted to punish a Tsanglan sect disciple, he would have to apply to the higher-ups. He couldn't punish a Tsanglan sect disciple for no reason, not even a clan. Of course, the premise was that the Tsanglan sect disciple didn't offend the city lord. If a Tsanglan sect disciple offended the city lord's prestige, the city lord had the authority to mete out a certain punishment. But it could only be a normal punishment. Li Tianhan, don't get cocky. So what if he becomes a Tsanglan sect disciple? The Tsanglan sect disciples are also separated into different grades. If he can't pass the test, he will only be an odd job disciple. There is no future. Let's see if you still have any face left. The Tsanglan sect's outer sect was separated into outer sect disciples and odd job disciples. Odd job disciples had to do many chores and didn't have many opportunities to be groomed. More than half of the disciples from the 4 major clans that entered the Tsanglan sect were odd job disciples and couldn't be counted on. Taking a deep breath, Li Xuanfeng's expression turned gloomy. The clan has nurtured you all for so many years, but you are just a bunch of ingrates. Li Tianhan, from today onwards, your branch will be considered a subsidiary branch. Hearing this, Li Tianhan and Xin Yuyan's expression changed. Any major clan had a main branch and a subsidiary branch. The main branch held the authority of the clan, while the subsidiary branches had to obey the main branch. It could be said that the difference in status and treatment was like heaven and earth. They didn't expect the founder to be so ruthless and directly demoted them to a subsidiary branch. This was even more humiliating than stripping Li Tianhan of his patriarch status. His expression changed several times, but ultimately, Li Tianhan didn't say anything. Perhaps, this was the price of disobeying the founder, and they had no choice but to accept it. I disobeyed the founder's order. I wonder what punishment my parents will receive. Walking down from the stage, Li Fuchen looked at Li Xianfeng again. In his vision, Li Xuanfeng's expression was gloomy, Li Taizhan was furious, and Li Tianhan and Xin Yuyan were silent. Exhaling a breath of air, Li Fuchen thought to himself, no matter what, it is impossible for me to give up the chance to enter the Tsanglan sect. It is a tragedy for the Li clan to carry the burden of Li Yunhai. With his mediocre talent, he will only be at the bottom of the Tsanglan sect. And with his personality, he will probably lose all his fighting spirit. At the end of the 10th round, The total number of contestants who lost 5 matches reached 8. 11th round, Li Fuchen vs. Zhu Hongxiu. Zhu Hongxiu's strength was very strong. Judging from her performance in the first 10 rounds, she was second only to Yang Kai and Shen Tuzhu, almost on par with He Ping. Her family's peacock sword art, when displayed by her, was incomparably beautiful and dangerous. But her opponent was Li Fuchen. Li Fuchen's sword skill rank was above everyone else. Even though Zhu Hongxiu's peacock sword style was magnificent, it wasn't at the completion stage. Without the completion stage, Li Fuchen could see flaws everywhere. If he wanted to, he could easily counter his opponent's sword style. The clear breeze sword art was like a gentle breeze. Although it was gentle, it was pervasive. Zhu Hongxiu's peacock sword style couldn't be executed at all. In the end, Zhu Hongxiu still lost this battle. You are strong. I believe a normal bone frame will not limit your future. Zhu Hongxiu was a 3-star bone frame, one of the 2 3-star bone frames in this year's Genius Contest. One was Yang Kai, the other was her. She felt it was a pity that Li Fuchen only had a normal bone frame. Those without a star-grade bone frame might not necessarily have bad perception. Other than cultivation talent, they might have other talents. But cultivation talent was the foundation. A Qi realm martial artist, no matter how exquisite or mystical his sword skills were, he was still a Qi realm martial artist. An Origin realm martial artist could finish him off in a single move. But she still hoped that Li Fuchen could grow, if not it would be such a waste. Li Fuchen smiled and didn't say anything. In everyone's eyes, he was just a normal bone frame, a person destined to not have a bright future. He couldn't be bothered to explain anything, whether he had a bright future or not. He knew it himself. The existence of the golden amulet gave him a transcendent state of mind. He was like a billionaire who wouldn't flaunt his wealth everywhere he went. Right now, his soul was light green. When his soul turned green, even he himself wouldn't know what level his innate talent and comprehension would reach. After the green soul, there would most likely be a higher grade of soul. Chapter 28. In the 12th round, Li Yunhai met Yang Kai. Without any surprises, Li Yunhai suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of Yang Kai. As such, Li Yunhai, who had lost 5 matches, was completely eliminated and lost the chance to enter the top 5. The moment he lost the match, Li Yunhai lost his wits and glared at Li Fuchen venomously. Had it not been for Li Fuchen, he would have entered the top 5. Li Fuchen took away his hopes of becoming a disciple of the Zhanglan sect. His heart was filled with hatred towards Li Fuchen. Sensing Li Yunhai's gaze, Li Fuchen gave a look of contempt. This kind of trash would only blame others for his failures. The last match of the 12th round was Li Fuchen against Guan Hao. At this moment, there were only 6 contestants left. They were Yang Kai, Shen Tuzhu, He Ping, Zhu Hongxiu, Guan Hao, and Li Fuchen. Guan Hao had lost 4 matches. If he lost this match, he would lose the chance to enter the top 5. But the cruel thing was, he was only 1 step away from the top 5. Guan Hao is not a match for Li Fuchen. It seems the Guan clan is in for a setback. Li Fuchen is the bane of the Guan clan. Guan Peng was eliminated by Li Fuchen and now Guan Hao is about to be eliminated by Li Fuchen. I wonder how Guan Yu is feeling right now. I heard Guan Yu's daughter, Guan Shui, was engaged to Li Fuchen, but the Guan clan annulled the engagement. Speaking of Guan Shui, she is a true prodigy. If she participated in the Genius Contest, Yang Kai, Shen Tuzhu, and Li Fuchen wouldn't even be a match for her. Indeed, with the Guan clan having Guan Shui, it doesn't matter if no one enters the Zhanglan sect. The audience was in a heated discussion. Guan Yu's expression wasn't great. On the day of the annulment of the engagement, he never expected such a situation to occur. So what if he enters the top 5? If he can't pass the outer sect disciple exam, he will still be an odd job disciple with no status. But my daughter, Guan Shui, has a bright future. Not even 100 Li Fuchens can compare to her. Unknowingly, Guan Yu had already forgotten about his brotherly bond with Li Tianhong. In his eyes, the Li clan was now a stranger or even an opponent. Guan Tong, who was standing to the side, said, "In the past, our Guan clan was too kind to the Li clan. From now on, we will do our best to suppress the Li clan. If they do something wrong, they will have to pay the price." "That's right, it's best if we can chase the Li family out of Cloud Mist City," Guan Peng's father, Guan Tian, said fiercely. On the stage, Guan Hao attempted to negotiate with Li Fuchen. "Li Fuchen, with your bone frame, even if you enter the Zhonglan sect, you will only be at the bottom of the hierarchy. Why not give this opportunity to me? I believe this will allow you and the Li clan to win the friendship of the Guan clan. In addition, even though Guan Shui broke off the engagement with you, but her future is immeasurable. Just take care of her and your Li clan will be able to enjoy endless benefits." Guan Hao thought his words were reasonable and should be able to move Li Fuchen. Li Fuchen sneered, "Your Guan clan's friendship? That's right. The Li family is on the decline. Without the support of the Guan family, it will be difficult for you to survive. You must know this." "Of course I know. Pity, if Li Fuchen wants something, I will reach for it myself. I don't need charity from others. Let's fight." Li Fuchen pointed his wooden sword at Guan Hao. "Li Fuchen, you are so stubborn. Do you really think that by entering the Zhonglan sect, you will be able to follow in Guan Shui's footsteps and that Guan Shui will care about you? To tell you the truth, in her eyes, you are just a clown. Don't waste your efforts." Guan Hao always thought that the reason why Li Fuchen entered the Zhonglan sect was to find Guan Shui. "Nonsense, you'd better shut up." With a sudden dash, Li Fuchen brandished his sword. Crackle! The wooden sword in Guan Hao's hand broke, and he was sent flying. With Li Fuchen defeating Guan Hao, the top 5 of the genius contest were finally decided. They were Yang Kai, Shin Tu-ju, He Ping, Zhu Hongxiu, and Li Fuchen. He Ping and Zhu Hongxiu each lost 2 matches. He Ping lost to Yang Kai and Shin Tu-ju, while Zhu Hongxiu lost to Yang Kai and Li Fuchen. After Shin Tu-jianhe stood up to congratulate, the genius contest continued. Zhu Hongxiu vs Shin Tu-ju wins. He Ping vs Li Fuchen wins. Zhu Hongxiu vs He Ping wins. After 3 matches, the 4th and 5th place were decided. They were He Ping and Zhu Hongxiu respectively. Next up was the battle for the top 3. Up until now, the 3 of them had not fought against each other, so none of them had lost a single match. The first match was between Li Fuchen and Shin Tu-ju. For Shin Tu-ju to reach this stage, half of it was due to his bone frame and the other half was due to his cultivation technique. His Xiaoyang Luo Qi was too strong. Combined with his 800 kilograms of physical strength, even He Ping and Zhu Hongxiu weren't his match. Perhaps only Yang Kai could suppress him. "Li Fuchen, it is commendable for you to reach this stage. A smart person should know when to stop. I shall kindly accept this 2nd place. How about it?" Shin Tu-ju knew he wasn't Yang Kai's match, but he didn't want to lose to Li Fuchen. What's more, the 2nd place prize was much better than the 3rd place prize. The 2nd place prize was 5,000 gold coins and a bottle of mid-tier, yellow-class pills. The 3rd place prize was 3,000 gold coins and 5 bottles of low-tier, yellow-class pills. That was a difference of 3,000 gold coins. Li Fuchen asked back, "Do you think it is possible? Not giving me face?" If it wasn't for the fact that he didn't have the confidence to defeat Li Fuchen, Shin Tu-ju wouldn't have allowed Li Fuchen to go easy on him. He would have used his absolute strength to beat Li Fuchen into a dead dog. "I am not giving you face," Li Fuchen replied bluntly. Shin Tu-ju was so angry that he laughed. Good. I will remember today's incident. You will suffer in the future." Shin Tu-ju intended to suppress Li Fuchen in the Zhonglan sect. In his eyes, Li Fuchen would definitely be an odd-job disciple once he entered the Zhonglan sect. Bullying an odd-job disciple was a common occurrence in the sect. Sometimes when one was in a bad mood, he would vent his frustrations on an odd-job disciple. The sound of the wooden swords clashing was like rocks colliding. Li Fuchen was able to break Li Yunhai and Guan Hao's wooden swords, but not Shin Tu-ju's. Shin Tu-ju's wooden sword contained the formidable Xiaoyang Luo Qi. Fire Cloud Shroud. Shen Tuju cultivated the fire cloud sword style. As the name suggests, it was a blazing hot sword style. Coupled with the Xiaoyang Luo Qi, it was like adding wings to a tiger. Huff 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 huff. The air distorted as the blazing hot sword shadows enveloped Li Fuchen, as though a fire cloud was pressing down. Mountain River Cleave. Against Shen Tuju's tyrannical move, Li Fuchen countered with an even more tyrannical move. Mountain River Cleave was the finishing move of the Xiaoshang sword style. Once the sword was brandished, all the force would be concentrated on the blade, allowing it to cleave apart all obstacles. Even if it was a giant boulder in front of Li Fuchen, it would still be cleaved in half. As the wooden swords clashed, the two of them suddenly sent out a palm strike at each other. Shen Tuju used the fire cloud palm. The palm force was domineering and blazing hot. Anyone who was hit by it would feel as though they were being roasted by flames. Those with a weaker cultivation would definitely have their skin and flesh charred. Li Fuchen used the mountain cleaving palm. This was a mid-tier, yellow-class palm art that he cultivated during his free time. The palm force was ferocious and overbearing, with a power that was twice that of the stone-shattering palm. A single palm strike was enough to shatter the organs of the opponent. Chapter 29. A loud explosion could be heard, as a strong chi force exploded with the two of them at the center. At the same time, both of them flew backwards. Shen Tuju took 10 steps back, while Li Fuchen took 9. My fire cloud palm is actually not a match? Shen Tuju had a look of disbelief. The fire cloud palm was a palm technique created by his uncle, Shen Tujianhe. It needed to be complemented with a yang technique in order to bring out its full potential. With his cultivation base, even an 8th level Qi realm warrior would be heavily injured by his palm. The Shin Tu clan's fire cloud palm is indeed blazing hot and domineering. It sure lives up to its reputation. Li Fuchen had already cultivated the mountain-splitting palm to completion. With a single palm strike, his strength was at least 1,500 kilograms. Shen Tuju's strength was only slightly weaker than his, and the palm force was scorching hot. Had it not been for the red jade technique being a yang-type technique, Li Fuchen's palm would definitely have blisters on it. Tiger Fang cross slash. Not intending to tangle with Shen Tuju any longer, Li Fuchen leapt into the air and slashed at Shen Tuju. Even though the Tiger Fang cross slash was only a low-tier, yellow-class sword art, it had an explosive power. With only one move, it wasn't any weaker than a mid-tier, yellow-class sword move. In mid-air, two sword shadows crossed and flashed towards Shen Tuju. Fire Cloud Soar. Shen Tuju gathered all his remaining strength and slashed towards the sky. Crackle. Bursts of chi erupted continuously as Shen Tuju retreated, his blood boiling. Half Moon Slash. While in mid-air, Li Fuchen suddenly swung his right arm. A sword shadow expanded like a crescent moon, enveloping Shen Tuju within it. The half-moon sword style was the same as the Tiger Fang cross slash. Both were low-tier, yellow-class sword arts. Just because it was a low-tier, yellow-class sword art didn't mean it was useless. In fact, a mid-tier, yellow-class sword art only had more sword moves and the power was similar to a low-tier, yellow-class sword art. Most importantly, low-tier, yellow-class sword arts were simple and fast, allowing for faster attacks. His arm went numb. Shen Tuju's feet left the ground and flew backwards. Finally landing at the edge of the stage, he was just half a step away from falling. You are not my match. Li Fuchen didn't continue. That's not necessarily true. This move was originally meant for Yang Kai, but now I'll let you experience it. The Xiaoyang Luo Qi flowed towards his arms, alleviating the numbness in his arms. Shen Tuju lifted his eyes and stared at Li Fuchen coldly. A blazing qi rose from his body. Li Fuchen raised his eyebrows. He wanted to see what other tricks his opponent could play. Fire Dragon emerges from the cave. With a flash, Shen Tuju skimmed towards Li Fuchen. When the distance between the two of them was only 5 meters, Shen Tuju thrusted his sword out brazenly. This thrust was incomparably scorching, as though a scorching stream of fire was coiling towards Li Fuchen. The Fire Dragon Sword art was a high-tier yellow-class sword art of the Shintu clan. It was also created by the city lord, Shintu Genha, and its power was unparalleled. Only martial artists at the 7th level of the Qi realm and above could comprehend its essence. Under Shintu Genha's guidance, Shintu Ju barely managed to master the first move of the Fire Dragon Sword art. Fire Dragon emerges from the cave. Therefore, this move only had power and no subtlety. However, it was enough to deal with ordinary people. Tornadoes scattered clouds. Li Fuchen let out a light laugh. This sword art that was full of flaws, no matter how powerful it was still useless. With a twist of his body, Li Fuchen flashed to the right of Shintu Ju. With a kick, he sent Shintu Ju flying and crashing off the stage. Even Shintu Ju was defeated. This Li Fuchen is practically possessed by a battle god. Didn't you see? At the end, Shintu Ju should have executed a formidable sword move. Who would have thought that Li Fuchen could easily neutralize it, and with a kick style at that? Li Fuchen's combat ability is outstanding. If a formidable sword move only has power, it won't do if it isn't subtlety. Li Fuchen's consecutive victories were no longer surprising to the spectators. At most, they were a little surprised. This child's talent in both martial arts and combat are outstanding. Chen Zongming realized that he had praised Li Fuchen several times today. Shintu Genha laughed. A normal bone frame will always be a normal bone frame. Let's see how he performs in a few years. True, whether he has potential or not, we will only know after a few years. Chen Zongming nodded. After a short rest, Li Fuchen went back to the stage. This time, his opponent was the undisputed #1 contestant of the Genius Contest, Yang Kai. Yang Kai was 16 years old this year, 7 feet tall, had a handsome face and was already at the 7th level of the Qi realm. His physical strength was at a staggering 1,000 kilograms. His talent in both martial arts and combat was outstanding. Except for Li Fuchen, everyone else was slightly inferior to Yang Kai. The only one who could match up to Yang Kai was Zhu Hongxiu, but her cultivation and physical strength were far inferior. It could be said that no matter what, Yang Kai was the best and had no shortcomings. Big brother Yang Kai will definitely beat him into a dead dog. Guan Mei was feeling depressed. Yang Qi, who stood up for her, was eliminated in the first few rounds. Her Guan clans Guan Peng and Guan Hao were also defeated by Li Fuchen, causing the Guan clan to lose a lot of points in the Genius Contest. Now she could only hope that Yang Kai could teach Li Fuchen a lesson. In her heart, she had always liked Yang Kai. If she could marry Yang Kai and he became an inner sect disciple, she might even be able to follow him to the Zhanglan sect. Tianhan, do you think Fuchen can win? Shen Yuyan was a little nervous. Li Tianhan patted Shen Yuyan's hand. No matter if he wins or not, Fuchen will enter the Zhanglan sect. Let's wait and see. In fact, Li Tianhan was even more nervous than Shen Yuyan. The prize for the Genius Contest's first place was 10,000 gold coins and 2 bottles of Qi-gathering pills. Now that he was no longer the patriarch and was demoted to a branch family, he didn't have the ability to support his son. Once his son enters the Zhanglan sect, he would need a lot of gold coins. 10,000 gold coins could be used for a long period of time. You are not my opponent. Yang Kai looked at Li Fuchen. We will only know after we fight. Li Fuchen's expression turned serious. Yang Kai was indeed a tough opponent. Without a fight, he wouldn't know who was stronger. Is that so? Venomous snake's tongue. Yang Kai's sword was too fast. It was so fast that one could only see the shadow of the sword flashing by. It was like a venomous snake spitting out its tongue. Of course, this sword wasn't just fast, it contained an astounding amount of force. From a few meters away, Li Fuchen could already feel a sharp qi flow coming at him. This wasn't sword qi, but the qi flow from the wooden sword. It was as sharp as a sword and as sharp as a saber. Venomous snake sword style completion. Li Fuchen could tell with a single glance that Yang Kai's venomous snake sword style was at completion. As of now, the only one who could cultivate a mid-tier, yellow-class sword style to completion was Li Fuchen and Yang Kai. Even He Ping and Zhu Hongxiu were slightly lacking. But He Ping had a wealth of combat experience, while Zhu Hongxiu was the same age as Li Fuchen, 14 years old. At this moment, if Li Fuchen still held back his strength, it would be arrogance. Revolving the 6th rank Red Jade technique, Li Fuchen's chi presence rose by 30%. He then swung his sword at Yang Kai. Welcome to Legends of Cultivation, audiobooks, where we bring ancient fantasy to life through storytelling. Follow the rise of heroes who defy fate, unlock mystical powers, and battle across celestial realms. Our audiobooks are crafted for fans of Chinese cultivation novels, filled with battles, breakthroughs, and legendary artifacts. Subscribe and be part of an unforgettable journey into the realm of immortality.